Halo YouTuber Late Night Gaming left a comment on the channel. Thank you, Late Night Gaming. Asking a few questions and looking for some support, so I'm going to provide that today. Let's jump right in. Okay, so Late Night Gaming asks, something I'd love to see from you is how to build a productive work routine, how to make time for yourself to unwind after work, and overall, what you do to make sure the train is always on time, so to speak. So first, Late Night Gaming, thank you so much for watching the videos and supporting the channel. Thank you for the comment. Very happy to make a video. If anyone else out there has any suggestions for videos or questions that I can make a video on, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'm very happy to provide that, as a service to the community and for all the support. I kind of break this down into 3 questions. So the first is how to build a productive work routine. First is you want to understand your goals, your priority, and your workload. And I think this goes for if you're working as kind of like an independent, you work for yourself, you might be a YouTuber, you might have your own small business, whatever it might be, but it also works for someone like me who works within a big company within Microsoft. You need to understand, again, for the year, for the quarter, for the month, or even for the week, what are the things that you're trying to accomplish? What are like the business goals that you're trying to reach? Think about how you're going to measure the success so that you know, hey, this month I was successful. Next, your priorities. That's going to be really critical here. And it's important that you make decisions on actually what's number 1 versus number 2 versus number 3 and so on. Don't just throw out a list of these are the 5 things that I need to do. No, they need to be in order, and make sure that you have them in actual priority order for what's going to hit your goals the best. Again, based on the goals you set, because you want to start with your goals there. And then next, you need to assess your workload. And this is going to take some time for you to understand what your capacity is and how much work you really kind of need to put in. So for some jobs, again, a lot of people clock in 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and they have a very set amount of time that they work, and they understand how much capacity goes into that. But if you work for yourself, or let's say you're a full-time employee and you're salaried and you don't work hourly, where your task is just get the work done, I don't care how long it takes, that is going to require a bit more understanding on your own part for how much it takes for you to get all your work done. Evaluating that is going to be really key, which takes me to my next point, which is going to be tracking your work. You need to be able to maintain a tracker. It could be digital, it could be physical. I've posted videos in the past talking about how I track my work, but you need to understand how much work you're doing, what is the work that you need to do so that you're able to track everything effectively and actually be productive. And again, this should reflect what your priorities are and what your goals are. Your workload and how you track it should also be in priority order for this is the most important or urgent thing that I need to do. This other thing, it's important, but it's not urgent, which means I can do it later, but I need to do it this month. You need to have some sort of framework for understanding how all of the work that you need to do and want to do kind of fits into your day, your week, your month, your quarter, again, the year. And having that focus is going to be really important, but also tracking everything lets you evaluate. Again, at least for me when I started, I definitely had, I bit off more than I could chew. And I still do this to this day, even though I'm a lot better at it. My appetite was huge. I wanted to work on everything that I possibly could. It didn't matter. I said just yes. All I did was say yes. People would come up to me and say, Tashi, can you do this? Yes. Before I even knew anything about it, yep, I'm in. And, that was a good strategy back then, but, it was insane because I worked crazy hours and I'm not working those crazy hours now, and that's a conscious effort. And now I say no to things more. And also because I have tracked all my work for years now, I know how long things take me generally. If I want to write a blog, I need to know, okay, I need to set a couple hours to write this blog. If I need to fire off a bunch of emails, hey, I can do this in my 15-minute break that I have between meetings. And so I can plan my days accordingly, and I can plan my weeks accordingly, and I know how big each of these projects are. And you need to get better at just producing yourself and organizing yourself. That's a skill. It's a muscle. You need to build that muscle. You need to hone that skill. And if you're not keeping accurate count of your work and just being very thoughtful around and being aware of how long things take you and honest with yourself, you're going to get into a trap where you're going to be less productive. You're going to procrastinate about things, which is ultimately going to lead to not hitting your goals And really, a lot of these things are within your self-control. So I would say those are a really important part of your first question late night. All right, so your next question was making time for yourself, unwinding after work, all of that good stuff. So for me, again, awareness is the key here. And awareness of like what you need to accomplish, what you want to accomplish, and just having intentionality behind it. When I first started at 343 and working on Halo, this was 100% the sole focus of my life. I was burning every single waking and even hours when I should have been sleeping, doing the things that I wanted to do. And there were many, many nights where I'm into the studio 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. There were many nights I spent 24 hours in the studio, 36 hours. The craziest thing I ever did was at an event. I worked 44 hours straight. That was the longest I'd ever been awake. Will I ever do that again? Hell no. But when I did it then, I was intentional. I had a goal. This is what I wanted to accomplish. Yes, it was absolutely crazy, and I put it on myself. I wasn't asked of this. I was aware, and I knew I'm not going to have free time to unwind or do anything like that. I'm very focused on this. And today, I don't pull any crazy hours like that anymore. But there are times where, again, I've shared on this channel before, I'm working a ton of hours. Like this year, I've put in a lot of hours. So I do it with intention where I know, hey, this month I have these big things that I need to deliver. It's going to take me a lot of time. And so I need to think about and have awareness and intentionality behind how am I spending my weekends? How am I spending my nights? How late at night do I want to work? What does that mean I can and cannot do at each night? There are some months that have been slower where I know, hey, I can get out of work at a reasonable hour. And I have plenty of daylight to burn ahead of me. I can go out with friends. I can go wherever, do whatever the things that you want to do. So having awareness and intentionality, I would say, is the first step. Don't be too harsh on yourself. I think work-life balance is something that gets talked about a lot. Ultimately, it depends on what's most important to you. If having time to unwind after work is most important to you, it lets you be productive the next day. That's a great thing to know about yourself. And you're going to have to experiment, and you're going to have to burn out, and you're going to have to not work hard enough to know what works out for you. And if you're like me, that's also going to change with time, right? When I was in my mid and late 20s at 343, I didn't care. I was throwing my body at work like crazy. I did not care. Now in my 30s, not so much. I still work really hard. Again, I'm not spending 24 hours plus, in the studio or at an event working on things. So I have a lot more intentionality. I have a lot more awareness. And I know now, again, based on the first step, what it actually takes to accomplish a lot of these things. Now, the second thing I would recommend you do is give yourself forcing functions. I know for me, when I'm having a crazy week or month at work, if a friend reaches out to hang out, watch TV, whatever it might be, I will steer those things into times that I know will force me to leave work. A friend will say, hey, do you want to watch a show tonight, whatever it might be. I will suggest a time that's let's call it 6:30. And so then I know, hey, I have to leave work at 6 so that I can make sure I'm ready to watch the show at 6:30. And that's a good forcing function. So use your social network, use your friends. They don't even have to be in person. It could be I play a lot of games with my cousin back in New York, and he's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, which means I can't play 10 o'clock because it's 1 a.m. for him. He's got to wake up for work the next morning. So I know there are times where it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, he wants to play. And I say, yeah, let's get on a game. And it forces me out the door at work, which is good. So use your social connections, both in person and remote, to basically put forcing functions on your calendar to leave work and just be done with it and occupy your time with other things. Other good things to do are exercise. So if you have a gym buddy, I know some of the guys at work, they're all going to gym early in the morning now. Amazing forcing function for them to just get up early, go get their workout in, and then they're going to crush work. And then after work, they're so accomplished. They've I've done everything today. Now the rest of what I can do anything. I won't feel any guilt or anything like that. Give yourself those social forcing functions to just disconnect from work and unwind and do something different. So your last question is about how do you make sure the train is on time? For me, there's two things that I do. One is, just like I talked about with forcing functions for leaving work and getting out, I also have forcing functions for getting into work. A lot of times I base my day and sleep schedule around when is my first meeting, and also how much work do I need to get done before my meetings start. A lot of times I have just like a full block of meetings, and I have pockets of like half hour, 45 minutes, 15 minutes to like get work done. So if I have big projects, I say, okay, my first meeting's at 9:30. This work is going to take me an hour and a half, 2 hours. Or if I have an hour and a half, 2 hours, I can make a huge dent in this work. And so I just work backwards, and I think about, when do I need to actually be up and do it? And I'd be honest with myself, because I think it's easy to say, oh, it'd be amazing if I could wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and do this and that and this. But if it's not really an important forcing function where, for me at least, like if I feel the pressure or I put my back against the wall, that's when I like perform my best. I never miss deadlines, and I always get the work done, and I always clutch up. So I try to put myself in as many of those like back against the wall, give myself forcing function situations in order to do that. This stuff is really important to me. Like, I'm thankful that I work on something that's like, again, like it's my main passion, it's my dream. Like, there's actually nothing else that I want to be doing. So for me, again, it's having the meeting and understanding when my first meetings are, and then having that kind of forcing function in terms of work that I need to get done. Now, if you work on your own, or let's say you're a YouTuber, or you have your own business where the hours aren't as strict, that could be a lot tougher to do for sure. And I would suggest you be honest and realistic with yourself. Some people, they don't need to get up till 10 a.m. and instead of like 7 or 6 a.m. And like, that's a superpower. Like, use that to your advantage. That's one of the perks of being able to like work for yourself. Use that to your advantage. Structure your day the way that makes sense for you. Generally speaking, waking up in the morning, getting stuff done is going to make you happier and lead to a more productive day. So don't sleep until like 2 p.m. and then get stuff done. Make sure you get up in the morning and get your work done. The second thing, which ties into the first, is your sleep schedule. Don't underestimate how much sleep you need. And in fact, like, embrace sleep. For me, early in my career at 343, I like did not care about sleep. I was team no sleep all the way. Sleep was a weakness. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, all that stuff. I was like all in on it. Again, like, I used to just like, even when I had friends over, I used to sacrifice everything just for work. These days, I really value my sleep, and it lets me be better at work. It lets me be a better manager. It lets me be a better teammate. Better representative for the community. I realize that one, I love sleep, and two, sleep lets me get better work done. Once I kind of came to grips with that, made peace with that, and embraced that, well, now it totally changes the way I think about my mornings, right? Because again, if I have, last week I had a partner call at 8 a.m., which means I needed to be up at 7 and ready to go. I slept earlier that night. I said, I gotta make sure I'm in bed and winding down, turn off the lights in the apartment, turn off the PC, whatever it is, get in bed with a book, whatever it might be. Even just like turn off the lights and get it in bed at some hour earlier than normal. Let me get enough sleep. And for me, I like to get a full 8 hours. I usually get between 7 and 8, sometimes between 6 and 7. Respecting the sleep that you need, embracing it, thinking of it as like a superpower, is going to take you a long way. And once you kind of realize that, and maybe it comes with age, because again, like it did with me, then you'll realize, hey, I can actually be way more productive. I feel better about myself. I know for me, like when I was I didn't even realize it, but when I was like binging at work and not sleeping at all, I was a total zombie. Like, I just know I was. And like, people used to see it on my face. They'd be like, you were here all night, weren't you? And I'd be like, an idiot, like, yeah. It's like, that was terrible. And like, sure, would I go back and do it again? Yeah, because it helped me to where I am now. So there's a time and a place, and it gets into all the awareness stuff that I talked about earlier, and intentionality. I was intentional about it. Well, now I'm intentional about making sure I sleep. The other thing I learned is after 10, 11, midnight, whatever it might be, there's not a whole lot going on. Sure, you could go out, but you can do that every night? Probably not. You could game, but you can game earlier if you want to game. There's not a whole lot going on late at night. Get your sleep, put on a TV show, listen to podcasts, whatever helps you fall asleep, and get your 6 to 8 hours, ideally 7 to 8 hours, and then wake up the next day, be intentional, know what you're going to focus on, know what you need to deliver that day, make sure it's written out, you've got it in priority order, and just go fucking crush your day. And like use that to build momentum to keep going forward. Day after day, when you build this routine and this habit, you're gonna like, a month is gonna go by and you're gonna look back at all the work that you did and how good you felt doing it and how you were still able to maintain relationships and do fun things and unwind after work, and you're gonna be damn happy about yourself. So hopefully this video was helpful late night. Thank you again for leaving a comment, and if anyone else has any questions or wants me to make a video on a certain topic, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Again, thanks for all the support in the channel. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.